What's up, everyone? It's your host, Ghost, coming back with another wonderful video. We got a couple things to talk about today. Obviously, the big news is Trump's indictment or arraignment, whatever you want to call it, from yesterday. Um, for those who don't know, because you live under a rock or whatever, Trump was, arraigned once again. This time for the classified document case. Um, so we'll go over that, look into it. It's I don't know. It's and like I've listened to a couple other people talk about it, like Ricada Law. He talked about it, and he's got some interesting points. So if you want to listen to those points, make sure you check out his channel, of course. But after you watch my video, of course, because I'm way more important than he is, at least in my mind. um, and then afterwards, it looks like Biden has had articles of impeachment laid against him. And that's over not what you think. It's not over, the whole potential bribery and stuff. That's probably because the investigation has not quite finished yet. Hold on, just in mic. Eventually, I'll get this thing right. But it's actually over the border, I believe, if I remember right. And I just skimmed it real quick. I just woke up. Sorry. Anyways, but yeah, it's just over the border crisis that has happened since he took office. So that's what those impeachment articles are all about. But yeah, so we'll look into both of those. It should be interesting to people vying for the presidentship and all of that. We'll look at their cases, look how different it is. And then also, along with Trump's indictment, it looks like his lawyers are launching a motion to dismiss due to prosecutorial misconduct. So we'll look at that as well. That should be interesting to read. Well, yeah, those are the two main things I want to talk about. Before we get into that, there's something else I want to talk about. It's not, it's more local news. So yesterday, there was a woman and an unborn child killed in Seattle, Washington. If you didn't know what Seattle, Washington is, it seems like it's an odd thing. From what I read, it seemed like an I just decided to talk about it, so I don't have it already. Anyways, it was a pregnant woman who was killed. And that's really sad to me. I do obviously I don't currently have a pregnant wife, but my wife was pregnant because we have a child, so she was pregnant at one point. But it's really sad to me hearing about this, especially but yeah, it's just really sad. So, anyways, what happened is these two people, the pregnant woman and I assume either her husband or her boyfriend, they were in Seattle Belltown neighborhood, near Fourth and Lenora. Hold on, there we go. I don't really want to share the article and just give you my briefest thoughts, but near Fourth Avenue, Lenora. For those who don't know the area, I am doxing myself. I do live in Washington, so I'm doxing myself there a little bit. But for those who don't know, Fourth and Lenora, it's near the Amazon building in Seattle. It's really not that far away. Actually, it's just up the street from it. But here's my biggest problem. It was a fair, as far as I can tell, it was like an seemingly like it was just a random shooting, just some dude who just decided to shoot into it. But anyways, they were in a Tesla. They were like, I'm assuming, waiting at the light, and all of a sudden this guy just fired on it. And the unfortunately the woman died along with her unborn child. Sounds like the man survived and is wounded, and it's really sad because I can't imagine, losing not only my wife but my unborn child on the same day. So if that guy's awake, I'm sure his life is feeling like it's over right now. Um, I'm sure he's just dying inside. I mean, it's really sad, honestly. It really is. Completely unnecessary, just random shooting. Fortunately, they did arrest the suspect. I just saw I had the name of it. Um, okay, there it goes. So the suspect, the guy, well, I mean, not really suspect. He definitely did it because he was captured and he had a gun that was recovered and everything. But he was, let's see, he was captured shortly after. I have no idea what he is. Um, but it just seems like a really tragic thing just for something to happen. Like, I mean, come on. These people probably were just out enjoying their day, hanging out, and all of a sudden this asshole just goes and shoots them for apparently no reason. Um, I was trying to look him up, maybe see if he has any skeletons in his closet. Um, Sorry, I'm just reading. All right. Well, anyways, the guy's name's Cordell Maurice Gooseby. With that fucking name, I get it. But yeah, it just sounds to me like just a random shooting. Like there was nothing like that presented it or warned it. It just seems like, and I don't have all the information. It just happened yesterday, but it seems like he just went up and just shot them, for no fucking reason, which is really tragic. I mean, what the hell? And I'm sure people are probably expecting me to go on an anti-gun rally and whatnot. That's not me. Big fan of guns. It also ironically, the city hall park that's been closed forever was had a grand reopening that day, and at the same time while they were doing the announcement and talking and the mayor was there and all that wonderfulness, this was happening. And he was talking about public safety ironically, but anyways, this this random act of violence is just kind of shows how far Seattle has fallen. And what I mean by that is, during the whole summer love crap, there's a whole section of the city that was under Chad or Chap, wherever they decided to call it in the end, and that ended up having a lot more killings, like a bunch of killings as well. But what it really shows is how democratically led cities fail so much. Um, that and Seattle has done this thing where, let's see, in Seattle, or it's either Seattle or King County, one or both. Well, definitely both, but one or the other. You can't. The police can no longer pursue um getaway drivers. Like if someone drives away, police can't pursue them. And it kind of shows, type of lawlessness that's going on in Seattle right now. Defunding the police. There's less police, and then response time. So there's type acts like these are felt. People are felt more emboldened to do this. Now, what I'm assuming, and I could be absolutely wrong. I mean, I'm going to probably keep up with this, follow up with this. Whether I do video is I haven't decided, but I'll definitely at least look into it. Assuming this guy had some sort of like mental problems, and how he got a gun. It's not that hard. There's a lot of crime in this city, and I'm sure there'll be rallies about guns and all that. But this thing wouldn't have been prevented with more gun restrictions, because I'm going to assume this guy illegally obtained his firearm, because that's the case with a lot of these. It's they illegally get their firearm and then they use it, and then the response by the government is to punish law-abiding citizens, because that's all those gun controls really do, is punish us. And I'm also assuming this guy used a handgun. So the recent gun control laws that Washington has enacted, banning semi-automatic rifles, or quote unquote assault rifles, that's obviously wouldn't have fixed it at all or prevented it, but any type of gun control wouldn't have prevented this shooting from happening. What really would prevent this maybe is some law and order. Now, I'm not a huge fan of cops and stuff, but this idea of defunding the police and everything would be a lot better is pretty dumb. And if you're going to defund the police, then you should definitely unrestrict gun rights so people can defend themselves. But yeah, it's really tragic. It really hurts my heart hearing. It really hurt my heart hearing this. I guess maybe just because I have a wife and child, and I can just imagine potentially that having been my wife and my unborn child, and I can't imagine what this man is going through. I mean, if he was wounded, and if he was comatose or whatever, and wakes up today, it's going to be the worst day of his life for sure. So if you're religious or anything like that, I'm not, but if you are, you want to send some prayers that guy's way, I would strongly encourage you to do that, just because just imagine if it's you. This is also the reason I forbid my wife from going into Seattle by herself without me. And yeah, I know that it's not going to really work, because obviously they were together and got shot, but if I wasn't there and my wife got hurt and she was in Seattle, I would just it'd rage. But that's why my wife's forbidden from going anywhere near there by herself. And honestly, we don't even go to Seattle at all. I'm not telling you exactly where we live, but we live outside of Seattle. But yeah. But anyways, I just want to do a brief thing on that. It's really sad. I know I keep saying that, but it is really sad. It's tragic. But yeah, I won't hamper on this too much. I'm sure everyone's tired of listening to it. This is local news, so it's not as interesting as our other subjects today. But that's all I want to talk about that. Like I said, I'll probably follow up and maybe we'll get into it a little more. Maybe I'll do another video on it. I don't know. But yeah, all right. So let's get into the topic of today, which is Trump's indictment. So, yesterday was Tuesday, right? Yeah, I got my times backwards. Yesterday, Trump was indicted for this classified documents thing. 37 counts apparently. And obviously, because what every person does who's ever been accused of and not put in jail for, but been accused of and sorry, train of thought. What everyone does, if you get arrested and put on trial or whatever, you plead not guilty. So that's what Trump did yesterday. At his arraignment, he pled not guilty. Shocking. Because that's what you do. You plead not guilty. Whether you committed the crime or not, you plead not guilty. Generally, the reasoning is if you plead not guilty at first, and like say you're the average Joe criminal, if you plead not guilty at first, good chance that the DA will come back with an better deal than if you just pled guilty. So that's generally the thinking behind it, and it probably generally works. So, also he did a rally like after his arraignment in New Jersey. We might watch that. But if we do watch it, I'll do it after Biden's articles of impeachment, so I don't forget that. We have more time this time around because I just recently upgraded my StreamYard to be able to do 2 hours. So, maybe we'll get a good hour and a half. Try to get a little longer videos, maybe more time so I can, because I do have a shorts channel that I have not done much with. So, yeah, if I can, get that going, I need some longer content to be able to actually pick out and everything. So when I get that set up, I'll send people that way as well. Anyways, so Donald Trump pled not guilty Tuesday to the first federal charges ever filed against a U.S. president. Yes, he is the very first president, former or current, that ever had federal charges filed against him. And I know what you guys are thinking, but what about Nixon? Well, Nixon resigned, so I don't think any charges ever got filed, and then Ford pardoned him. And I think he would have gotten federal charges, but I think he resigned before impeachment. I wonder. Let me look that up real quick. Maybe they weren't maybe they would not have been federal. Okay, I think it was because this is a federal grand jury. So yeah, so Nixon would have been, but he resigned, and then Ford pardoned him shortly after. So when you're pardoned, you can't get charged. So therefore, obviously, but Nixon was never charged. So yeah, so Trump is the first president, former or current, that's had federal charges filed against him. Oh, it looks like hours. Okay, so it looks like this rally was before he was arraigned. So hours before, he delivered a grievance-packed speech to a cheering crowd of political donors at his New Jersey golf club. Trump turned himself in at a Miami Federal Courthouse in the afternoon and was booked on the second set of criminal charges he has faced this year. The leading 2024 Republican president candidate was arraigned and pled not guilty to 37 counts related to allegations that he kept hundreds of classified documents after he left the White House and resisted efforts to return them to federal court record keepers. Now, it's not really true. He may have done it slowly, but he wasn't really resisting. And also, something to note is I believe the FBI or something, or someone like a week prior to them going down and knocking down the door and all that and raiding Mar-a-Lago. The thing with that is, sorry, train of thought losing. The thing with that is they were there a week before and could have easily handled this and whatever, but they didn't. And then a week later they came back and raided his house. So it's ridiculous that they were like resisted efforts. Well, you guys went into his house. You guys could have taken any federal documents. Now there is also something that's going on. It's a theory that it's an idea and probably an argument attorneys are gonna use, that when a president removes documents while still president from the White House or whatever, he's effectively declassified them. And there is some like procedure that isn't required. It's not. There's a procedure to declassify documents, but Rekieta Law was talking about this yesterday, and he was talking about how, like, although there is a procedure, it's not really like it's more like a traditional thing and not something really required, because would the act of a president just removing, because the president's the one who gets declassified, decides what gets declassified. So if a president removes classified documents from the White House or whatever while he's still president, does that mean that it's declassified automatically? And if not, then who decides what gets declassified, and who decides like a procedure has to be followed to declassify them, if not the president? That's the thinking that's following right now, which is good. It's a good thought. It's this idea that if a president removes something, doesn't that mean it's declassified because it's no longer secured, and it was the president who gets to decide what is declassified and what's not. So that's the thinking. I probably did a shitty way of explaining it, so go ahead again, check out Rekieta Law. Shout out to him. I'd love to get him on. I'd love to talk to him. But he did a really good job at explaining last night all his ideas and stuff. So 100% check that out after finishing my video, because again, I'm way more important in my mind. All right. So Trump is charged with willfully retention of national defense information, conspiracy to obstruct justice. I don't get that at all. Withholding a document or record, corruptly concealing a document or record, concealing a document in a federal investigation, scheme to conceal false statements and representations. Trump aide and co-defendant Walt Nautu was initially expected to be arraigned, but he did not enter a plea as he did not have a local lawyer. He arrived at the courthouse with Trump and surrendered, and was booked as a condition of Trump's announced release. The pair will not be allowed to contact one another. Of course, they're released. At least Trump was obviously released, because it'd be a hassle, because because Trump has Secret Service with him. The former president left the courthouse late at Tuesday afternoon to head. Oh no, okay. Well, now I'm fucking confused, because just before it said prior. Hold on. Yeah, so it said hours before he delivered a grievance-packed speech to cheering crowd of political donors, and then here it says, oh no, all it says is he just headed back to New Jersey. Okay, never mind. All right, so he went back there. Wait, okay, and then I don't know. I guess he did 2 speeches yesterday. He delivered a speech full of attack and threats targeting Joe Biden, Department prosecutors, and other enemies. Fox News Chiron echoed Trump's unfounded claims, calling Biden, who was speaking at a Juneteenth celebration Tuesday night at the White House, a wannabe dictator. Tuesday marked the second time in 2 months that Trump was arraigned on criminal charges. He pled not guilty in April to 34 counts of falsified business records. And that's the obviously, it's, as you can see, it's the one where, payments was made to Stormy Daniels by Trump's lawyer. He made payments to Cohen. They're claiming that he made payments in the express interest of paying off Stormy Daniels. It's a whole pain in the ass. It's dumb. And then apparently he's facing more legal exposure with 2 more charged cases. One in regards of the quote unquote effort to overturn the 2020 election, which we can talk about now. It was definitely stolen. And also his scheme to reverse 2020's victory in Georgia. Yeah, this Georgia, the same place where they shut down the voting things for a burst pipe, but there was no burst pipe. Yeah, that Georgia. Trump will wade through the legal fights as he holds a commanding lead in early polls of the 2024 GOP president primary. Republicans have largely defended the former president's conduct, accused the Justice Department of running a political motivated probe. Yes. Merrick Garland, Biden appointee, chose Smith to oversee the investigation to avoid an appearance of conflict of interest. Yeah, sure. Another thing that's, bad, is I guess Ron DeSantis hasn't said anything, which is a bad look. A lot of people like Trump, and I know I'm sure there's plenty that don't like Trump. But if you look at this case and you look at the other cases, it's obvious that Trump's being targeted because they're afraid of him being president again because he did such a great job. A fairly good job, but he's also not someone that you can puppet. He's his own man. So, this hatred of Trump really stems from that. And Ron DeSantis, yeah, I get Trump's your opponent, blah, 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 blah. But I think it's a bad idea not to be like, hey, look, I don't like the guy. I don't think he should be president or anything like that. But this is obviously a witch hunt. This is obviously, something that's politically motivated, et cetera, et cetera. I don't like this. I don't like it. I don't care if it was Trump or if it was someone I liked or even if it was Biden. This isn't, something that we should be doing. Something to that effect. I think that would have been a good move. I'm not a politician, so I don't know, but I think standing up against obvious bullshit and corruption by a government should be easy. Anyways, and then afterwards, obviously, Trump did a familiar campaign delivered a speech with the familiar campaign talking points and grievances. I mean, of course he didn't. I mean, he'd be stupid not to, to use this for, political gain. I mean, what moron wouldn't? Let's see. So I guess he delivered an extended diatribe against special counsel Jack Smith, who oversaw the federal probe into Trump's post-presidency rendition of classified documents that led to his indictment on 37 counts. He asserted that he had the legal right to keep those records, which, could be true, could be argued. Again, the president has the power to declassify. It'd be one thing if he took the documents after he was no longer president. That'd be one thing, but he took them while he was president. And just because there's a tradition of how to, declassify things doesn't mean tradition needs to be followed every time. As far as I know, there's no like legal procedure, like really, because again, Trump's the president, and he's the president, so he gets to declassify whatever he wants. And when someone's the ultimate authority on what gets declassified or not, can there really be a procedure except like how they decide to do it? I don't know. That's the question. Uh, anyway, so he asserted he had the legal right to keep those records. Gotta do better with my posture. While claiming that he has been treated unfairly by politically motivated Justice Department. He complains that he hasn't gone off after. Oh, okay, that has not gone after his political opponents in the same way. Yeah, I mean that's obvious. Look at Hillary. Now I know what you're saying. Well, Hillary did the same thing allegedly, but or whatever. She had emails that she shouldn't have, whatever. But you forget, Hillary was Secretary of State, not the president. Hillary doesn't get to decide what gets declassified and what doesn't. And Joe Biden has done the same thing. He had far more the classified documents in his possession and has yet to be charged as well. So obviously, it shows a more biased Justice Department. Here's something I don't like. Ugh. All right. In the speech, Trump vowed that and if elected in 2024, he would appoint his own special prosecutor to go after President Joe Biden. I don't really agree with that. I get the idea. I don't like the idea of another president going. Basically it's the same thing Biden's doing to Trump, is going after his political opponent. It's not a good optic, in my opinion. I get Trump's pissed and shit like that, but he should just let the Congress deal with that stuff, like with the bribery allegations and whatnot, and articles of impeachment and all that. He should just let the Congress or someone else do it, unless there's like some clear evidence, which appears to be, but still. But yeah, I mean, this is a speech, of course, and he's trying to rally support, so I get it, but I don't like that rhetoric. Legal experts have been quick to point out that Trump's case, which involves alleged violations of the Espionage Act and alleged conspiracies to obstruct the government, differs significantly from other instances of politicians holding onto records after leaving office. Okay, yeah, sure, whatever you say. They ought to drop this case immediately, Trump said to the crowd that had gathered at his Bedminster, New Jersey golf club. While he spent much of his speech raging against his latest legal threat, Trump had also touched on some policy lines he has regularly deployed on the campaign trail. He vowed to close the U.S.-Mexican border and immediately end Russian war against Ukraine. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Oh, man. Lord. I thought if I do this in the morning, I wouldn't yawn so much, but apparently not. Anyways, so this is kind of this is good. Obviously we do have a border crisis. So bad that there's articles of impeachment against Joe Biden about it, and then there is thoughts that if Trump was president, Russia would not have invaded Ukraine. There is thoughts about that. So, anyways, the former president, who has been indicted twice since announcing his 2024 White House bid. Now, to be fair, I'm sure these were going to happen regardless of whether he announced or not, but just saying. appeared poised to return to campaign trail as soon as he left the Miami Federal Courthouse. Trump's motorcade stopped at a well-known restaurant for a surprise meet and greet with a friendly crowd before he traveled back to Bedminster for a campaign-style event before an even bigger crowd of supporters. So the evening also included a campaign fundraiser expected to raise several $1,000,000, and Trump was peppered his supporters with fundraising appeals since Thursday night when he revealed he had been indicted on federal charges. So that's that right there. So, but yeah, that's basically it. Let's see. Just get that ready. No, you don't get to look at it yet. It's a secret. It's a secret. Anyways, but yeah, so that's the basics of that indictment. But yeah, I don't know. It's yeah. I mean, I've already hammered it, but there is, thoughts on the matter. That hey, just because there's thoughts on the matter that hey, he was the same president when he took documents. He has the right to declassify and all that stuff. So we'll look into that. There is a. I was listening to Arcade Law. I know I'm talking about him a lot. I just want him on the show because it'd be cool to talk to him. But he was talking about how it'd be really funny if Trump had pardoned himself against this potential, like if he had a pardon set aside, and because the presidential pardon doesn't say you can't pardon yourself, and it also doesn't say the pardon, the only thing that you can't pardon is articles of impeachment, or impeachment. Basically, you can't pardon that. Again, back to Nixon. I'm sure some of you are saying, "Well, what about Nixon?" Well, Nixon resigned before impeachment ever happened, before he was charged with impeachment, or before the impeachment even happened. So that's why he was able to be pardoned. But I guess a pardon only says that you can't pardon impeachment. So it'd be really funny if Trump pardoned himself on, oh, this could be a potential. It'd create a firestorm if he pardoned himself, because it doesn't say you can't pardon yourself. So that'd be really funny, in my opinion. And it doesn't even have to be written. He just has a video, and he's like, on this day, I pardon myself for any charges Oh, if he did it for his whole presidency, any charges that may come of my presidency or some shit like that. Or that'd be really funny. I'm doubting he did that, but it'd be really fucking funny. All right, so breaking. So this happened yesterday. Trump's attorney launch effort to dismiss documents case on prosecutorial misconduct. So that's interesting. Hold on. I'm just gonna. What am I talking about? Oh, I'm sorry. I also just remember this. Sorry. Hold on. I'm just reading through this. Another thing is, I guess, because this just reminded me of this. So there's another talk that I was hearing yesterday on Arcade Law. That I guess there was some executive order enacted by Obama that for something to be classified, put that classified status on, it must reasonably. Let's see, what did he say? He's like, it must reasonably have like the person who classifies the document, because it's not the president who classifies the document. It's generally someone outsider. Well, not outsider, but someone, like, a CIA director or some shit like that. There's someone who designates the classified document. But for something to be considered classified, it must have like a reasonable that it's reasonable to think that if this information got out, it'd be harmful to the country, basically. So, it so that's basically how you can classify something. And if something is classified but actually doesn't fall under that idea of could potentially or whatever harm the country or whatever, then and so it was misclassified or whatever, that if say all 37 of these have been determined, this isn't actually harmful or whatever, and they were classified but it was misidentified as classified material or something like that, it would be it'd be a very interesting case to see. It's like, so if it ends up like these documents are not really, they shouldn't have been considered classified, even though they are classified, would that mean that if it was improperly classified, then trying to remember, I watched this last night, I'm exhausted, I was exhausted too, but like if it was misidentified as classified, then can you really charge him even though it is considered classified? Something like that. It was really interesting to listen to. I know I did a terrible job explaining it. Again, watch Rekieta Law. He does a lot better of an explanation. But it was a really interesting theory to listen to. I thought it was really interesting. I didn't even know about it anyways. Anyways, back on this. So we'll read this. This is a really short article. I didn't realize how short it was. So former President Trump's legal team is preparing a motion to dismiss the latest case against their client, citing prosecutorial misconduct, including attempts to abuse Trump's attorney-client privilege and witness tampering, according to sources close to the investigation. Insiders have told Real Clear Investigations reporter Paul Sperry that Trump's lawyer, following his arraignment Tuesday, will ask Judge Alina Cannon to unseal an order by an Obama-appointed judge that struck at the president's confidential correspondence with his then attorney, Eric Concorin. Okay. In March, Judge Barry Howell ordered Concorin to testify before a grand jury in the Justice Department's probe of how classified documents were obtained and handled by Trump and his team following his departure from the White House. Howell ruled that federal prosecutors had met the threshold for the crime fraud exception, a development that had been scrutinized under Judge Cannon, a Trump appointee. Legal analysis believes the former president may have a strong case in seeking to have the case dismissed, citing inappropriate lines of questioning by federal prosecutors and possible witness tampering. Former Trump attorney Timothy Parlatore, speaking about his time before a grand jury, said he witnessed firsthand the lengths of the DOJ's prosecutors would go to intimate the president is guilty by exercising his Fifth Amendment and attorney-client privilege. For those who don't know, Fifth Amendment is basically not incriminating yourself. So if you see on TV, I plead the Fifth, meaning I choose not to answer this question because it could incriminate me, blah, 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 blah. All right, he says, I went before the grand jury myself. I was really stunned by what I saw in the grand jury room. The conduct of the prosecutors. They have made many attempts to try and get at privilege in communications. They would ask me about my conversation with my client. They would make improper references to the jury and trying to mislead them about that. On Tuesday, he said that to Politico, that Trump's legal team will be focused on possible witness tampering in DOJ by DOJ counterintelligence chief Jay Bratt and whether he pressured Trump's co-defendant, well, not to, during an interview by inappropriately mentioning that Natu's attorney, Stanley Woodward, is currently applying for a presidential nominated DC Superior Judge Courtship or Superior Court Judgeship. Other items up for targeting by the president's attorneys include scrutinizing the unredacted search warrant seeking to have concurrence attorney's notes excluded from evidence. President Trump. Okay, so this is just okay. So that's that. When was this written? Okay, so this is what's written yesterday, so it's fairly new. But yeah, that's that on that part. So that's interesting. This is why we should have courts, federal courts at the very least, and grand juries and all that. All that should be, televised. Anything dealing with courts should be out in the public, unless there's might be some like very some few exceptions, but very few. But otherwise, we have the technology. We can put the camera in every courthouse. I really think that should be important. I just, when I watched the Rittenhouse trial and watched how dishonest those DAs were, it really opened up to my eyes how, terrible the system can be and how much we should have it where the courts are televised, or at least, and people can pop in whenever they want. I really like the, if you watch that Netflix movie of Ted Bundy with Zac Efron and the attorney, the judge there was like, we are conducting the people's business because he is paid by the taxpayers. We are conducting the people's business, and so we will conduct it in the light. This is the sunshine state after all. Something to that effect. I thought that was really, I felt like that was something that, every judge should feel. We're conducting the people's business. It should be in the light, whether you're state or federal, especially if you're federal. The fact that every federal case isn't televised, I think is complete and utter bullshit. I should be, because here's why. If I wanted to go in and sit in on it, I'm allowed to do that. So why shouldn't it be televised? I don't understand the thinking that, if I'm able to go in, sit in the courtroom and watch the proceedings and obviously be able to take notes and whatnot, then I should be able to watch it from the comforts of my home. I think that, because obviously we've advanced so far, we can easily set up a streaming or whatever. The courts can pay YouTube or some shit like that or whatever and be like, look, we'll just set up a permanent stream or a channel or whatever, and we'll stream live any courthouse proceedings and everything. And you wouldn't get, not everyone will watch everything, but that's not the point. The point is we have the ability to. And another thing is if the Johnny Depp trial wasn't televised, I'm sure there would be plenty of people that would think he was a woman beater. But because we got to watch live, obviously there's still some people that believe Amber Heard, but that's because, they believe anyone with a vagina. But if you hadn't been able to watch Amber Heard's, just the way she was talking and the lies and how much of her bullshit was called out, I'm sure there'd be far more people that would think Johnny Depp's a terrible person and he wouldn't have gained his reputation back. Even with the Rittenhouse trial, and you had the ability to watch and see the evidence and see all the bull and everything like that, you still got people who believe he's guilty. I mean, I just saw on Twitter someone arguing that he was a terrible person and that the three people were trying to disarm him, which is complete bullshit. But anyways, hold on. But yeah, I think it's really important to have all this, the courthouse and stuff like that. And, any trial should be live. We should all be able to watch it, no problem. We shouldn't have to travel hundreds of miles just to watch a trial. Not when we have the technology not to do so, which we do. I mean, hello, I'm talking to, eventually I'll be talking to hopefully hundreds of thousands of people some point in my career. I hope that will happen. But, I'm able to talk to people and I don't even live anywhere near them. All right. So I think we will have time to watch the Trump rally. It is 30 minutes, but I will do it after I do these articles of impeachment against Biden and Harris. I'll do it after. We'll watch that. So let's get into old man Biden. Sorry. Hold on. Just doing this. So, old man Biden and Kamala Harris. All right. So, GOP, I don't know why I'm looking at that. I can look right here. GOP Representative Ogles introduces impeachment articles against Biden and Harris. Okay. Oh, I was wrong. Oh no, never mind. No, yeah. So, these impeachment articles are about Biden and Harris's, handling of the border. We do have another border crisis on our hands. So, anyways, that's it. So, impeachment articles comes as Biden faces a special counsel investigation into his handling of classified documents after leaving vice presidency. Now, here's the thing. Biden was vice president when he handled classified documents. He doesn't have the power to declassify those documents. So that's why it's a lot different than President Trump's, who could be argued that by just taking the documents out of the White House, he's essentially declassified them as president. There's that argument. But that's not what this article is about. This is not what these impeachment articles of impeachment are about. Tennessee Republican Representative Andy Ogles introduces articles of impeachment on Monday against President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. Ogles' articles accuse Biden of having weaponized the presidency both in his tenure as president and vice president to shield. Oh, I guess I'm not. I thought this was about the border. Oh no, it is. I don't fucking know. All right, we'll read into it. I thought it was one thing. Maybe it's more. Of weaponized blah, 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 to shield the business and influence peddling schemes of his family from Congress oversight and public accountability. Additionally, the articles accused Biden of acting in a manner contrary to the public trust and subversion of constitutional government, to the great prejudice of the cause of law and justice, and to manifest injury of the people of the United States with his handling of the southern border crisis. Ogle's effort will likely face an uphill battle in the House, where a small minority of Republicans have pushed for Biden's impeachment. Harris' impeachment articles take aim at her track record as vice president, as well as her handling of the southern border crisis, accusing the vice president of having extraordinary incompetence in the execution of her duties and responsibility, and an indifference to Americans suffering as a result of America's ongoing southern border crisis. Biden hasn't just failed the American people with his abysmal excuse of leadership. He's violated his sworn oath to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. Biden has repeatedly abused his position of power, both as vice president and president, to cover up his illicit family business dealings and exploitations of taxpayer resources. The American people know they can't depend on the so-called Department of Justice to investigate the Biden corruption, so it's up to Congress to hold him accountable once and for all. That's a really good picture of Biden. Oh my God. Biden is a disgrace to the Oval Office and should be stripped of his position, held responsible for his high crimes against the United States, that his accomplice Harris has demonstrated her extraordinary incompetence time and again. She also allowed the land invasion at our southern border to continue unchecked, threatening the livelihoods of millions and lives of thousands who have been murdered at the hands of illegal aliens and died from illicit fentanyl. Specifically, Biden's articles accused him of having failed to comply with congressional requests for information and documentations, violating a personal commitment to transparency. Additionally, the articles accused the president of withholding a critical FD 1023 form until threatened with a congressional subpoena that reportedly detailed a bribery scheme in which members of Biden's family, including Joseph Robeta Biden, received $5 million each to assist Bergman Holdings, the Ukraine company of which Hunter Biden sat on the board. I don't think that's really accurate because if I remember correctly, it was the FBI that had that FD 1023. So I don't know if Biden had anything to do with its withholding or if the director acted on his own. I don't know. So to me, that's not very accurate. But I mean, I think it'd be a lot stronger for, to write in just the bribery scheme. Well, whatever. I don't know. I'm not a politician. I don't fucking know. In her impeachment articles, Harris is accused of having consistently refused to visit the southern border to ascertain the root cause of the ongoing crisis, aside from a single trip hundreds of miles away from the epicenter of the migrant crisis. Shocking, Vice President and President. Harris is a terrible vice president. Who would have thought? In permitting an invasion of illegal aliens and illicit drugs into the United States, as well as facilitating the whatever that word, of a major humanitarian crisis. I'm not a smart person, all right? Vice President Kamala DeVie Harris has directly betrayed the public's trust of the United States to manifest injury of the people of the United States. Article read. Ogl's impeachment articles comes as Biden faces a special counsel investigation into his handling of classified documents after leaving the vice presidency in 2017. The White House did not give an immediate comment on the impeachment articles. All right. So that's that. That's that. So that's that on Biden and his impeachment. But yeah. So interesting. I don't know. My theory is not going to go through or anything. Republicans are cowards when it comes to this stuff. Like, generally are cowards. So I doubt they're going to actually impeach him. I'm sure it's going to be just like it's said where it doesn't have much support from other Republican candidates, or not Republican candidates, Congress. So there's that. Yeah, I don't think this is going to go anywhere. I think I don't know. These articles maybe should have waited till after the investigation into the bribery scheme, because obviously that's going to be ongoing. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think it's going to go. I have no trust in politicians, Republican or Democrats, so I doubt this is going to be going anywhere. But we'll see, I guess. But it's not going to go anywhere. But yeah, that's that. Those are the two things I got talking about. Now, as promised, we are going to watch the president's, or I'm sorry, God King Trump. I don't really think that. We're going to watch his speech after his arraignment. As promised. So this is a 30-minute video. And we will see how much I'll stop and want to talk about something. So here we go.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. It's a great honor to have you here. And today we witness the most evil and heinous abuse of power in the history of our country. Very sad thing to watch. A corrupt sitting president had his top political opponent arrested on fake and fabricated charges of which he and numerous other presidents would be guilty. Right in the middle of a presidential election in which he was losing very badly.
That is 100% true. Biden has like the lowest, not low. I don't know his approval rating, but a lot of people think he's way too old. Like, I think 2/3 of like voters think Biden's way too old to be president. But he is also considered the best candidate for the Democrats. So yeah, he's definitely is losing this fairly badly.
This is called election interference and yet another attempt to rig and steal a presidential election. More importantly, it's a political persecution like something we are a fascist or communist nation. This time will go down in infamy, and Joe Biden will forever be remembered as not only the most corrupt president in the history of our country, but perhaps even more importantly, the president who, together with a band of his closest thugs, misfits, and Marxists, tried to destroy American democracy. But they will fall and we will win bigger and better. Judging a former president of the United States under the Espionage Act of 1917 was enough for this. An act for a crime so heinous that only the death penalty would do, and threatening me with 400 years in prison for possessing my own presidential papers, which just about any other president has done, is one of the most outrageous and vicious legal theories ever put forward in an American court of law. The Espionage Act has been used to go after traitors and spies. It has nothing to do with a former president legally keeping his own documents. As president, the law that applies to this case is not the Espionage Act, but very simply the Presidential Records Act, which is not even mentioned in this ridiculous 44-page indictment.
So if I remember right, that Presidential Documents Act, like every president, gets to like basically gather their documents about the presidency and like file it with the National Archives. Kind of like a, I don't want to say, it's kind of like a high school transcript of the presidents of their presidency, and every president gets to do this. It's like a record of just basically a record of their what they did during their presidency.
Under the Presidential Records Act, which is civil, not criminal, all right to have these documents. The crucial legal precedent is laid out in the most important case ever on the subject, known as the Clinton Socks case. You know what that means? After leaving the White House, Bill Clinton kept 79 audio tapes in his sock drawer. They included discussions of U.S. military involvement in Haiti, discussions of U.S. foreign policy, both defense and offense, against Cuba, recordings of President Clinton's conversations with all of the many foreign leaders at the time. Think of that. Sensitive facts about trade negotiations taken from presidential briefings, discussions with the Secretary of State about conflict in Bosnia, and much, much more. Very big stuff. Not only was Bill Clinton never even considered for a criminal prosecution based on the tapes he took, but when he was sued for them, he won the case.
I didn't know about that. I don't really. I just recently become political, but that's interesting. That's a good case for him, especially if they had military involvement. That's generally would be a problem for the president. Is I can't remember, but like anything doing with like military and troop stuff is like separately classified or something like that, and that even if you have something that's not classified, you can get charged with it. But yeah, so that's okay. That's interesting. I didn't know about that. I didn't really follow Bill Clinton before my time. I was born in '94, so.
Judge Amy Berman Jackson's decision states under the statutory scheme established by the Presidential Records Act, the decision to segregate personal materials from presidential records is made by the president during the president's term and in the president's sole discretion. You're supposed to hear that, aren't you? Any normal administration, even an opposing one, would consider that to be the end, but not the corrupt Biden administration. The Sox decision, as it's known, also states, quote, the National Archives and Records Administration, or NARA, does not have the authority to designate material as presidential records. They don't have the authority. NARA does not have the tapes in question, and NARA lacks any right, duty, or means to seize control of them. This is law. The president enjoys unconstrained authority to make decisions regarding the disposal of documents. That's unconstrained to make that decision. Neither the archivist nor Congress has the authority to veto the president's decision. The Presidential Records Act does not confer any mandatory or even discretionary authority on the archivist to classify records. Under the statute, this responsibility is left solely to the President of the United States. Think of that. That's the decision. Think of that. Just think of that. In other words, whatever documents the president decides to take with him, he has the right to do so.
Yeah, this is back to the argument that if a president removes something, it becomes declassified and everything. And yeah, these are some very interesting points he's pointing out here. I'm sure this will go forward. There'll be a bunch of legal battle and all that stuff. So, I'm sure it'll be very interesting. I really hope they televise it because that'd be really cool to watch. I would love to see Trump being well. No, these ones are federal, so they won't be televised. I hope if it goes forward with trial, he'll his attorneys will argue it for it to be televised. I hope his other one, his trial in New York, will be televised. Of course, all that's gonna fucking take place like after the election's over. Um, so
It's an absolute right. This is the law. And that is something that people have now seen, and it couldn't be more clear. They would have dropped this case immediately because and this is why no other president, even those who kept far more documents than him, has ever been even investigated, let alone charged with a crime. Because the same indictment put forward by the Biden administration included staged photographs of boxes at Mar-a-Lago. Many people have asked me why I want these boxes. Why did you want them? The answer, in addition to having every right under the Presidential Records Act, is that these boxes were containing all types of personal belongings, many things, shirts and shoes and everything.
WSECU low rate visa,
damn it.
new talent, and a whole new level of.
But yeah, this is very interesting what he's saying. Yeah, they should definitely drop this case. They won't, but they should. It would be the best thing to do politically, in my opinion, is to drop this case. It's so ridiculous. All right, back to it. Fucking commercials over with. I hate commercials. Eventually, I will fix this. My goddamn buttons.
The picture where someone like me, I wonder what might have been, dumped one of the very neatly arranged boxes all over the floor.
Oh, and also, keep in mind that just prior to the raid, the FBI were there. They took to look over all this stuff, and all they did was put a lock on the door, and that's it. Like they didn't take any documents. Then they, they could have easily taken any documents they considered was, should have been taken, but no, they waited a week afterwards, and then did a raid on this stuff. It's completely ridiculous. But yeah, there were staged photos. Wouldn't be surprised if these were staged. Anyways, let's continue.
They were full of newspapers, press clippings, thousands of pictures, thousands and thousands of White House pictures. The White House photographers, some are with us today. They took so many pictures and we saved all of them and they're in those boxes. Clothing, memorabilia, and much more. I hadn't had a chance to go through all the boxes. It's a long, tedious job. It takes a long time, which I was prepared to do, but I have a very busy life. I've had a very busy life. They make it more busy because you're always fighting. And under the Sox decision, there seemed to be no rush. I wasn't in a rush because that decision was law. The other picture that was so viral, you remember that one, was angry and corrupt, was the photo staged by the FBI. And those that raided Mar-a-Lago, they were putting documents all over the floor. Remember that famous picture? All over, said confidential, said presidential, said all sorts.
Yeah, kind of like, makes you think about like when you watch TV and all the bills have been like the tops and been ripped off, and all you see is bill overdue and final notice and stuff like that. Kind of makes you think of that now with these documents that were just happened to be spreaded neatly out that said confidential, presidential, and all that stuff.
Things, and it was supposed to be there like it was that way when they raided. It wasn't that way. They put them there, took the picture, and released it illegally to the press. They took my medical records, my passport, my birth certificate, and apologized. I even brought a safe cracker. This is a professional safe cracker that brought into Mar-a-Lago. And they broke into my safe, and you know what they found? Nothing. There was nothing there. Nothing there. And zero. According to the Presidential Records Act, which was a big deal, I was supposed to negotiate with Mara, which is exactly what I was doing until Mar-a-Lago was raided by gun-toting FBI agents. I have security tapes of it. I gave them security tapes of everything. In a flagrant violation of the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution, which protects the right against unreasonable search and seizure. And Sebastian, you covered very well, I must say. Very well. I'm not the one who thinks I'm above the law. I'm the one that followed the law. I'm the only one. It's Joe Biden and his corrupt Department of Injustice who think they are above the law.
I don't know if you got that. He called it the Department of Injustice. Oh, this is what I love about Trump. He has the hilarious nicknames of everyone. He said that with such a straight face, too. The Department of Injustice.
Never before have the true standards of justice in our country been more starkly revealed. Joe Biden had troves of classified documents from his time as vice president and even as a senator, which was completely and totally illegal. In fact, other senators heard about it. Dick Durbin heard about it. Not to see his response. There's no way that's totally illegal. Took him as a senator out of his stuff. They were shocked when they found out. They actually thought it was impossible to do. Biden sent 1,850 boxes to the University of Delaware, making the search very, very difficult for anybody. And he refuses to give them up, and he refuses to let people even look at them. And then they say, oh, he's behaving so nicely. Many of Biden's classified documents were in Chinatown, D.C., which is shocking considering his family receives so much money from China. I wonder how many times the friends of ours from China reviewed those documents. Chinatown, D.C. Others were unsecured at his so-called Penn Biden Center in Washington, which paid Biden approximately $1 million a year. The money supposedly coming from China and still other classified documents were strewn all over his garage floor, where his now famous Corvette is stored. He's so proud of that car. There was no security, and the door was left open.
Sorry, just want to get into this. This is, obviously he's taking shots at Biden. It's hilarious. But yeah, when the documents found at Biden's house was in a far more unsecured place. It was in a garage. Garage is easy to broke into. But this is something that's just breaking. This happened like 3 hours ago or something like that. And it's kind of on topic. But House GOP has launched an investigation into the $10 million in revenue that mysteriously showed up in Joe Biden's 2017 tax return without any disclosures as to where the money came from. This is from Proud Elephant. At Twitter, sorry. Proud Elephant at Twitter. But yeah, so that just came out. $10 million? This dude has never served any private job. He's been in the public. He's been paid by taxpayers his entire life. How is he getting $10 million? Anyways, that's just something that caught my eye. Figured I'd bring it up. All right, let's go.
Classification authority as president. Joe Biden as vice president had no authority to declassify and no right to possess the documents. He had no right. Instead of falling under the Presidential Records Act, Biden's actions fall under a much stricter Federal Records Act, which has very, very tough criminal penalties. Yet nothing happens to crooked Joe. Nothing happens. Do you know anything about the big securities documents now? Only most infamously of all, Hillary Clinton set up an illegal private server in her basement. You know how this sounds. With the deliberate intention of violating public information laws so she could hide pay-for-play scandals at the Clinton Foundation or whatever. Hillary stole vast quantities of classified and sensitive information on her malicious server. Some of it happened to it leaked into Anthony Weiner's computer. Remember Anthony Weiner? Into his computer. You don't want to be on his computer. And all of it was illegal. Because thankfully, she was never president. She didn't have the powers to.
This guy's hilarious. Thankfully, she was never president. I mean, that is a very important distinction. These people have classified documents and they didn't have a power to declassify. Well, Trump did have the document or power because he was president. This is a very interesting point he's making. And of course, the DOJ hasn't been, investigating either of these people. Although, to be fair, Trump really didn't go after Hillary afterwards, which, agree or disagree. Sorry, just adjusting myself. I gotta get comfy. Agree or disagree with that? I think it was a good call. Otherwise, he'd have this situation going on where, he's the guy attacking his, political opponent, stuff like that. So I think it was ended up being a good call. Although it would have been really funny to see Hillary locked up. Yeah, what a birthday present, get indicted on federal charges. Or arraigned on federal charges, whatever.
Just got charged with it. 400 years approximately. If you add them all up, it's fake and acid was. Nobody does that. It's a wonderful birthday. We're making it to the greatest birthday. When caught, Hillary then deleted and acid was. Nobody does that because of the expense, but it's pretty conclusive. 33,000 emails in defiance of a congressional subpoena. Already launched. The subpoena was there, and she decided to delete acid wash and then smash and destroy her cell phones with a hammer. And then they say, participating in obstruction? You're thinking it. That's called obstruction. There's never been obstruction as grand as that. She did this in the face of everything, and yet nobody did anything about it. The FBI and the DOJ protected her, did not issue subpoenas, did not use a grand jury, did not execute search warrants, and then the corrupt head of the FBI, James Comey, declared no reasonable prosecutor would bring a case. Can you believe it? And that was just one of many items. Hillary Clinton broke the law, and she didn't get indicted. Joe Biden broke the law, and in many other ways we're finding out.
Yeah. It's talking, obviously, that's not only his document, the documents Biden has that are classified, but also the alleged bribery scandal going on, and then this obvious $10 million that was on his tax return that hasn't been declared, that wasn't declared or anything. So, hey, interesting. Obvious. I don't know if Trump knew this at the time, but this is interesting.
And so far has not gotten indicted. I did everything right and they indicted me. But we're serving as a great example. In the case of Bill Clinton's national security advisor, remember that? Sandy Berger? He was caught stealing classified documents from the Nation archives, very big ones, very important ones, by stuffing them in his pants. That's good. And putting them also in his socks. Destroyed them and cut the tape with scissors, cut it all up. What Berger did was highly illegal, but he was given nothing, no jail time, nothing happened. There are countless other examples. Bill Clinton, what happened to like hard to believe, right?
Oh, this guy's a character. I love it. I really wish he had pardoned himself. I mean, obviously he didn't because he knew he wasn't doing. He thought or knew he wasn't doing anything wrong. But it would have been really funny if he like looked and he was like, you know what? I bet they're gonna try and indict me on something. Let me just pardon myself on this, and then not reveal it until like the trial happens and be like, oh, by the way, I pardoned myself, so this is kind of useless. That would have been funny. Oh, that would have been totally Trump, and that would be funny to watch.
Before I did this, I was actually quite friendly with him. Nice guy. They said he used him a little bit more as an advisor in the 2016 election. He said, you better get to Wisconsin, you're going to lose. No, we're not. You better get to Michigan, you're going to lose. No, we're not. They did. Bill Clinton lost the nuclear codes, and absolutely nothing was done about it. He lost the nuclear codes. The George W. Bush White House lost 22 million emails, a record. NARA can never see a complete transfer of any of these records. The documents from Trump were spotted on the way to pictures. Can you imagine? Hillary Clinton took hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of furniture, China, flatware rugs, and more from the White House. And she wasn't prosecuted. How about that one? She took the furniture and the China. How about if Trump did that? Do you think Trump would have a little problem?
Talking in third person.
Violations of my rights by crooked Joe Biden's weaponized Department of Injustice are unthinkable. It's unthinkable as happened. So bad for our country. Democrats all, they lawlessly pierced my attorney-client privilege with lawyers. What they did to lawyers, what they have done to our lawyers, all of our lawyers, they've done things that were absolutely horrible and unthinkable. The leaking has been unbelievable and highly illegal. They leak. We learned more about, from the Washington Post, New York Times, about the DOJ's Boxes hoax. It's a Boxes hoax. Than from prosecutors themselves. We want to read about it. You pick up the Washington Post, which is not doing well. From the New York Times. But they're doing well because of these things. This is the only way this is right, but they'll end up.
I mean, that's probably true. I mean, CNN found like a giant plummet in viewings when Trump left office, so it's probably pretty fairly accurate.
But it's not supposed to be that way. You don't want to learn from the Times. We don't want to learn from leaks. We want to learn from the people we're supposed to learn from. So the leaking self in Washington. But we learned nothing about the Biden bribery scheme or special counsel Robert Hur's investigation. Robert Hur is doing the Biden investigation. He's a very respected, very nice person. Very nice person.
All right. I mean, I don't want to watch all this. It's a good speech. I mean, he's clearly using this to his political advantage. Of course he is. I mean, how could you not? Like, this is a great thing to use for his political advantage. So, another thing, just real quick, looks like kind of Trump related, but not really, because it's not really Trump. But just read this real quick. So this is should be happening as early as today. The House of Representatives will be voting to censure and fine Adam Schiff for using his position to spread false allegations of Trump and Russia collusion. If found guilty, he would be censured publicly, which is like it's kind of like I don't even know how to explain it, but he would be censured publicly and be required to pay back the American taxpayers $16 million, which is half of what was wasted on the Mueller report. Now that's really cool. Well, not cool, but that's interesting. So, I mean, a censure is just an expressive, severe disapproval of, especially in a formal statement. So, I mean, when you hear that, lawyers could get censored. It's a reprimand or something like that. And, honestly, you should be ousted. Now, I mean, I'm sure if you've been living on a rock during the whole Russia collusion thing, Trump and Russia collusion thing, Adam Schiff kept saying, "Oh, I have the proof. I have the proof. I have the proof. You will see the proof." And then now that we learned that there was no proof and all, and Adam Schiff lied, he's being censured and fined. I think he should be kicked out. Obviously, he used his position to try and further this bullshit, and he shouldn't be a representative anymore. But his constituents will probably keep voting for him. But that's all I got for you guys today. Hope you enjoyed this video. It was very interesting. All this legal stuff. Well, not legal stuff, but all this, information. Trump's hilarious, as always. Biden being impeached looks like not just on the border, but also the bribery scheme. Or at least it was mentioned. So all this is very interesting. We'll see how it goes. There we go. So we'll look at that, and yeah. So if you liked the video, make sure you like and subscribe. Even if you didn't like it, please like and subscribe. Follow me on my Rumble channel as well. All the links are on my channel, and then follow me at Twitter at officialwghost. I think Saturday I'm gonna try and set up a video game live streaming. I'm gonna live stream some Spider-Man play. That's all I got for you today. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you all have a good day.